Welcome everyone to the Road to National Master. This is round number 4 for the 2025 Minnesota Winter Open Tournament. Again, 1649. And after the win from round 3, we boosted our I don't know, emotional health and mental health a little bit after the disaster of round 2 that we were totally winning and then we blunder made in 2. So round 4, this round was on a Sunday because it was a 2-day event. We had 3 rounds on Saturday and then 2 rounds on Sunday. So this is the recap for round number 4. I'm playing the white pieces against another higher rated opponent, and I went with d4. My opponent goes for d5, and after c4, my opponent actually went for Queen's Gambit accepted. And I haven't really faced this at all. So you have different ideas. You can go for e4, but you gotta know your theory. If you don't know your theory, then just go for e3. And for those who don't know, if your opponent is trying to still defend this pawn like this, you can undermine it with a4. And if your opponent is saying, if they defend it with a6, you can capture this pawn, and it cannot be captured because you would just lose the rook here for free. So that's an idea. That's an idea that you can have for your games. So if your opponent defends it instead of with a6, defends it with c6, now you have a takes b, and the queen cannot give any checks because you just capture with the rook. And if your opponent captures this pawn, you have an insane move here that wins you the game on the spot with queen f3. So this is a Queen's Gambit accepted trap that you should probably know for your games. Now the rook is hanging, and there's no way they can defend it. If they put the bishop here, you capture the bishop and then the rook. If they put the knight here, just capture the knight with check. Maybe that's probably one of the best ideas. This, better than losing the rook for free, right? So this is probably a better defense, but still you're up a piece. So that's one of the traps that you should probably know for your games. So they cannot really defend it with b5. So my opponent just gives me the pawn back. And after this, my opponent goes c5. I castle because now if my opponent wants to capture in the middle, I can capture with a queen, with a knight, with whatever I want. So knight there. And now I just capture here on c5. My opponent captures with the bishop. And I just take the queen here with check. My opponent captures with a king. And I just go for actually, I didn't know this was one of the best moves, but a3 is the best move. Wow, now we're learning theory as we play. I really thought that move was very strong. I just didn't understand. I mean, my plan was a3 to then go for this and then bishop here and then just develop my knight. Maybe here. That's what I was thinking in the game. I really didn't know that was like theory though. a3 is top engine move. Wow, crazy. a3. And that actually stunned my opponent. My opponent thought for quite some time here. Because the classic thing is like to give a check and stuff, but like you're just helping your opponent develop. That's what I was thinking. If I go rook d1, my opponent can just go king here. Or king here even. Actually, that's probably better. What is it? Yeah, king here, more in the middle. More in the middle. I guess there's also bishop here, but I'll just help my opponent. After that, my opponent's going to go for something like this, So why help him? Instead, I just went for a3, which ended up, I guess, being the top engine move. And after this, I just went for b4. Continuing with the plan. Bishop goes there in the middle. I develop my bishop. Now I have an idea of maybe ruining the structure, but not really. I don't want to give up my bishop pair, especially my nice bishop that has a nice scope here. So after b5, I was thinking, where do I bring my bishop? You know what? I should have just gone for bishop here, man. Right away. I should have just gone with bishop e2. Bishop e2 is a very nice move. And I don't know. Bishop here and then just knight. But I went for this. Wait, actually, oh yeah, I forgot. I went with like rook d1. In between moves. So now if my opponent captures my bishop, I take this one with check. If this, now I can capture the knight. So my opponent will have to defend it like this. And now just bring the rook all the way back. And this pawn is very soft, right? How can they defend that? So let's say if they go here. Oh, I have the move now here. I have this one. Can I even capture the bishop, the knight here? Oh no, I need to defend this one first. So this pawn just falls. I don't think they can defend that. Yeah, that's it. So that was my idea, right? But my opponent defends the bishop with the king. And here just bishop e2. But I went with bishop d3 first to prevent any knights here. But that doesn't do anything for them. So I shouldn't have done that. I should have just brought my bishop to e2. That's probably better square for sure. Or that would not probably for sure, but it's like that would have been a better move for sure. There you go. Bishop developed. I've developed my knight, and now my plan is to go here. But here I thought for quite some time, and I was thinking, okay, I have a few options, and knight b3 is definitely one of the options that I wanted to go for. I probably should have gone for that. At the same time, I wanted to get rid of this knight, and I thought for so long calculating knight d4. And I was thinking that if I go knight d4, if my opponent goes for this idea, that I thought that I might trick him to this, like winning a pawn in his head. Bishop takes h2 would go with knight takes, and then my opponent can think, oh, I can capture the bishop here. And if I capture here, captures the knight, and I'm having to actually wait. Oh, apparently it doesn't even work. I don't know why I calculated this for so long. What the heck? Okay, now I'm a little frustrated. Wait, why did I calculate this for so long? I thought this. And if I capture here, that's a blunder, but it's not a blunder. I don't know why I calculated this for so long, because here I was thinking, oh, in between move, check. And now I'm good. And I'm up a piece here. That was my whole thought, I guess. But apparently it doesn't even work if I don't even capture the... I thought of that for so long for it to be wrong anyways. But I went for this move, 94. Trying to trick him with that. Maybe him thinking that he would win a pawn, but it'd be like a pawn, but being down the exchange. So it's kind of equal. I don't know. But my opponent just went for, yeah, knight takes, bishop takes, or yeah, bishop takes, and then g6. I thought my opponent would just go for this right away, and I was trying to calculate. So if this move, I'll probably just capture here. But then I need to be careful with this move, because here, oh shit, yeah, there's this move now. If takes, now my bishop is pinned. Just need to be careful with that. So I cannot capture there. So my opponent went with this move first, g6, defending. So now I'm thinking, the whole time I was thinking, how can I bring my bishop to f6? How can I defend g5 and bring my bishop here to just, maybe my opponent will fall for me winning the exchange. But I think it was pretty risky going for g4. Because then my opponent can do stuff, can like see it, right? Maybe like go with something like this or something, I don't know. And then my knight is a little bit soft as well, you know, not defended by anything. So instead of that, I just went with just developing my rook. And after this, it says that knight g5 is the best move, the only move to keep the advantage for the white pieces, but it's a very hard move, a very tough move to find. Because then you're thinking here, and then the only move to keep an advantage is bring the knight here to h7. And it's not too bad, especially because the rook's gonna go there without you just capturing. But maybe that's not even the move. Wait, what happens if... Wait, what happens if this... Oh, no, it escapes. No, wait, it doesn't. Oh, it says bishop here. Wow. That's crazy. Wait, bishop takes h8 here. And now you're threatening the bishop. Wow. So if bishop moves, you just win this pawn even if you want, because you're up a piece. That's crazy. I guess now for your games, now you know. That's a crazy move, man. That's too computer like, man. That's too much. Unless you know your theory, then you're fine. So I went king f1, not the best move. And then after f5, here I should have gone for bishop c2 or bishop b1 even. So the whole point why I've been keeping my bishop here on d3 is that I never wanted to allow a5 because I would just capture here the pawn. That was my thought process of why I always wanted keep my bishop here, but you know what? I should just reroute and just target this pawn instead. And this diagonal, and I'll even allow this, I don't even mind. You know? So after this, I need to either bring my bishop to, I don't even know where, man. I just brought my king here. So my whole point, like the whole thought process of this one is like, now if my bishop takes, if I take, takes, if bishop takes this pawn, now that's good for me because I have rook h1. And I capture here on h7, infiltrating, right? If the bishop moves, I have this, the king moves. I can even like capture that, I guess. But I wouldn't do that. I would probably go with, oh, well, I can actually just go here and just win this pawn. So that was the whole point of trying to give up that and just, you know. But that didn't happen. So I went king e2, knight developed. I went for h4. And now this is coming. So maybe here there's a time for me to bring the bishop to b1 or c2. I think this is probably the best move, just here. Because if the knight gets kicked, I can go here. Actually, I can actually go up. Wow. So the knight wouldn't get kicked. I should have just brought the knight. Wow, I don't know why. So in the game, I actually moved the knight to e1, defending this pawn. I should have just moved the bishop, now that I think about it. Crazy. I moved the knight. Knight goes there, and now I'm in a little bit of trouble, man. I take the rook, and here, the best move is to go king d2. Wow. King d2 is the best move. That's crazy. So king d2, I would say if this, you just capture here. You can just trade everything if you want. I don't know what the best move is here, but maybe just solidify it, I guess. After rook takes, I put my rook on c1. But then after my bishop gets kicked, I miss this move. I miss the in-between move of bishop or pawn e4. And I go bishop b1. And the thing is, like, I cannot capture this rook because my opponent has the in-between move of pawn check. And if I capture, then my opponent captures the rook. And my opponent's up a piece. So this in-between move killed me. And my opponent now has knight c4. Knight c4, it's a nice move because it is very hard to defend the bishop. So it says the best move is rook c2, but I was seeing a bunch of things where my rook kind of gets trapped a little bit. So here, if this, what was I seeing? Rook c3. Oh, I saw this move. Rook c3 attacking my pawn. And if I try to defend it, even like this or something, bishop e5. And now my opponent has ideas of just even like giving a discovery attack or something. You know, it's very tough. And if I try to defend it with my like this, then like what does it say? Rook b3 even. Wow. What about just this? I like this move though. Because now, let's say I don't do anything. My opponent has... Wait, obviously I cannot do that. If I move here, my opponent has this. Check, takes, and wins up a piece, right? So, need to be careful with that. So as you just saw, after this move, I sacrificed my... I captured the knight with my rook. So I'm down the exchange. Now... Hold on, all right? Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. Can we try to defend? Can we try to draw this game? We are down the exchange. That's it, right? That's it. My opponent has the bishop pair. It's a kind of locked position, not super open, of course, because of the pawns. Not very open, so the bishops are not the best. My bishop is nice, but the bishops are not the best. But at the same time, we have the knight. So can we do something with the knight? Let's find out. Can we try to defend this position? Knight develops to c2. Bishop d5. King moves just to defend, just in case. The rook goes all the way back. I bring my pawn to g3, making sure that everything's locked and that I don't allow just f4 and ideas and things like that and open things up. I want to keep everything closed. Bishop develops to a nice square to maybe even go here. Knight d4. Now my knight's centralized. If the bishop ever goes here and wants to capture my knight, go ahead, capture that, because I can create a fortress here with my bishops and nothing can get through. And I never allow the rook to come here, you know? So I'm fine with that. So my opponent, let's say, for example, if my opponent went with something like this already, I have a knight takes f5 check, captures, I capture, and now everything's good to go. I'm very locked here, you know? That's just a fortress now. I'm not winning, but at the same time, I'm not totally losing, right? Even like going bishop versus rook can be challenging for my opponent here. So if rook here even, I can just block with my bishop on d4 and everything's fine. My bishop has a nice scope and things like that. But that didn't happen. So after knight d4, my opponent just moves to f7 to get out of any discovered checks and things like that. I go with h5, trying to open it up a little bit. Not the best move, but I'm just trying to do whatever I can. So I capture with check. My opponent captures back with the pawn. Now this is open. But my opponent goes... Oh, actually, sorry. I go with bishop c3. Bishop c3. And here, the best move for the black piece is just to bring the bishop here. Just be patient. My opponent goes rook h8. Now, find a move with the white pieces. Yeah, we're still losing, but we're trying to get some hope. So here I go with knight takes b5. My opponent captures the bishop, I can capture back with a knight. And if my opponent, so my thought was like, if my opponent captures here with check, I capture with a knight. Rook h2, I can defend with my knight. If bishop tries to attack my knight, I go like this. Takes, and this is defended. If this, I can just try to create a fortress with my knight somehow. It's not easy, but I was going with that mentality against this endgame. And I have these two pawns that maybe I can do something, maybe not. But I'm still losing, right? So that was the idea. So I capture on b5. And here my opponent captured the knight, giving me the bishop pair. Now I'm attacking the rook. My opponent saw that. It's very hard to defend here on f2. So my opponent goes there f2. And the problem is if I go here, that's a huge blunder because my opponent gives a check. If I move, captures my bishop in the back. So we still need to be careful. So after rook there, I just moved my king up to c3. My opponent captures my pawn on f2. a4. If my opponent captures this, now I'm winning because I can capture the bishop and nothing can infiltrate to these squares. I can just push my pawn forward. My opponent can never go this way because the bishop is here, you know. So if the king gets closer to my bishop, I can just bring my bishop to d4 and start pushing this pawn forward. So that could be a problem for my opponent, right? So my opponent didn't go for that. After a4, my opponent just went king e6, attacking my bishop. He says if he captures here, he takes here. If I take here, I don't know, maybe not super clear. My opponent probably has ideas like this. I don't know, maybe that's probably winning for me. I don't think so though, because my opponent can just attack my bishop anytime. Anyway, so I just bring my bishop to f4. King there now to try to trap my bishop. I has to move, but now I do an in-between move. Takes, and then I bring my bishop to c2. Now I'm trying to activate my bishop now. G5, bishop C7. Now, if my opponent goes for a push like this, I can capture like this and capture with the bishop. And that's just a draw, pretty much. Or maybe I have some chances. I don't even know. Okay, so rook there. Bring my king to defend on d4. And again, my opponent cannot capture this pawn because my bishop is here. My opponent attacks my bishop again. I give a check in between move. Now, if my opponent goes here or here, I can give a check. And now we're fine. King g6. I move my bishop. Check, attack the bishop. Bishop moves. And now we're having some chances. We're bringing it to a draw. I start pushing my pawn forward. And this is the time that I saw. If I push my pawn forward, if my opponent doesn't do anything about this, I can just promote and win the game. Sorry about that. My mouth a little bit dry. I need to get some water. 1 second. Wow. Oops. Okay, so my opponent has to capture this pawn, and my opponent does. Captures because it's very hard to stop that pawn. Takes, and my opponent goes for the pawn. I cannot defend it because if I defend this pawn, or if I do something like this, my opponent can just capture, but my king is being blocked by the bishop, so I cannot really go help. So here I have to find, so it says bishop c4, best move. Oh, I like this move better. So I went with king c4 because now I feel like I'm closer toward to the pawns. So after rook takes, I just bring my bishop to c2. Again, my opponent cannot capture this pawn because I just take it with bishop. So if this happens, right? If this happens, I have a check in between. And now I can try to sacrifice my bishops for, or actually apparently it's winning. Wow. How is that winning? Crazy. I guess I can try to create a blockade and then give a checkmate with the bishops. Anyway, so here my opponent goes there attacking my rook. I just get closer, defending, check, and I'll get closer to where I have to go. Rook there. Now I go for the critical move g4. g4 top engine move to try to disconnect those pawns. Now, if my opponent goes something like this, I have check. And now this pawn is very nice. After my opponent moves somewhere, I can just bring my bishop here. Actually, be careful with this move, right? Because this can blunder a bishop. So maybe I would definitely consider this move to just create a blockade there. Although it can be tricky after a move like this. Bishop c3 probably. This doesn't matter because I can try to push and then sacrifice the bishop for the pawns. So after g4, my opponent went with rook a5. I gave the check. My opponent wait, were we winning? No, we're not winning at all. We don't have pawns. I give the check. My opponent captures and I just attack the rook with my bishop. Again, totally winning for the black pieces, but it's not so clear, especially because my opponent doesn't have much time. Right now, my opponent is very low on the clock. We have 30-second increments, but my opponent was down on the clock even lower than 10 seconds at the end. Like during this time, there's the past few moves, he was very low on time, less than a minute. And every time he made a move, he would go back up to 30-something seconds. So he was very down on the clock. So after this move, I go king e3, which gives me a lot of hope here. After rook c5, he offered me a draw. And I took it. There's no way I can win this game, especially because I don't have pawns. And if I can trick my opponent somehow, I can try to win something, but I had to still sacrifice a bishop for a pawn maybe in the end or something. And as you can see in the evaluation, it's like minus 0.3. So here, my opponent offered a draw. My idea was to just give a check and then, not sure, sacrifice something. my bishops for the pawn or something at one point, or just create a blockade. So here my opponent offered a draw and I accepted. You know what? It was a very stressful game. My opponent, I think, was very stressed too. It was a very tough game, but we drew the game by agreement, and that was nice. So round 4, getting that half point on the board after the win on round 3. And here's a little clip about my round 4 thoughts, the reflection. So I'll see you on the next round. Round 4 recap. Wait, is that a 5? That should be right. I'll try to put my face here. So for round 4 recap, just like not a recap, I guess, just a video, just a short video, because there not much happened, right? So I just came with not many expectations. Just try to play solid. Maybe I need to start looking into not playing d4 again, or if I play d4, maybe go into the London. But the Queen's Gambit accepted. You know, I should have probably done something about that. I don't really know much on it, but I played it, so I guess a draw was fair. Maybe I should have gone for a different line. Maybe I should bring back my knight f3 and then go for a Londonish with h3 or something to get some advantage. Maybe that's a better way to do things. And nothing much there. Just looking forward to, I guess. I mean, I'm recording after the tournament, but you guys need to watch round 5 of the tournament. I'll see you guys there. Bye.